your mother has 4 military-sized fridges in her house. She lives there with one other.
And they're all filled with off food. And the other day when I was on my way to work, I called my mum and she called me. She was doing me a favour. She goes, I'll do it for you just after I go and pick up the change table. A baby change table from someone's house that she found on the internet.
Wow.
Because she collects, because now that she's a grandma, as we know, she has the hoarder's room where she puts all the kids' things in, and she collects items, secondhand items, that she has no doubt spent, I reckon, up to $30,000 on.
Wow.
Wow. Yep. And it is interesting to see how it affects us, because I feel like for your narrative, there's a lot of like saving for a rainy day or I don't know, like a lot of like that fear of losing. And I feel for my way of dealing with it and how my family dealt with it is we have to pretend like we're always rich or like we really are not. But like even now my niece and my nephew, it's like, let's throw everything we have on them. Like they'll never feel like they need anything, you know, anything they like, someone will buy them. Anything they want to eat, we'll cook for them. It's like this abundance. Let's always have everything on the table, everything all the time. It's kind of like the opposite, but also it comes from, I think, very similar places as well.
And do you think that's a good thing for kids?
No, I don't.
Yeah. My mum has called me several times and shared that she's just heard a siren and she wants to know if I'm okay. And she has no idea where I am, but she's just heard a siren and wants to make sure that it's not me.
Well, she's a Cancerian. She's very intuitive.
Yeah. What about
Was it ever you?
Obviously not.
What about when you wanted to go on a road trip during the holidays? You wanted to drive your car.
Should we tell everyone how old? Should we tell the listeners how old I am, Kezzy?
31.
31, and my mum still says that she will stand in front of the car if I am to go on a road trip. She still thinks that she can control my life and that I cannot live anywhere else and that it would ruin her life. And she says if I won't do something that she wants me to do it on my life. If you don't do that on my life, I'll die. And my grandma used to say in Yiddish, "Ba my Leben," which means if you don't do this, I'll die. Sorry, go on.
No, you remind me of when we had Passover every single year growing up. My father would come to me and my siblings and say, "Be nice to your grandfather this year. It's his last year." Like for 10 years, every year. Like he's going to die. And I'm like, we're always nice to our grandfather. Like I don't understand.
Don't even get me started on like family politics. My mom has 9 siblings and every time she's one of 10. Every time before a social like family thing, I literally need to go over a list and see who am I allowed to say hi to or not based on family feuds at the time. And in Moroccan culture, it's rude not to approach your uncle or auntie and say hi to them first. But I need to know, because if they're fighting with my mom on that day, then if I go up to him and say hi, then that's like betraying my mom.
Whoa.
So you need to know your alliances.
Like The Sopranos.
Wow.
I think it's more like Game of Thrones. Also, my grandfather used to get for like a Jewish holiday for Rosh Hashanah, for the New Year's, a live lamb that would like play in our back. Like we would play with it in the backyard. And then on the day of the holiday, they would just cut his head off and cook him for dinner. Yeah, and today I'm vegan, so obviously.
Wow.
Yeah, so family, I think that's big with me, with like, if we're talking about generational trauma, is the way you treat your family, like how you're allowed to talk to your family and how you're not allowed to talk to your family. And there's really like, I see these like new age people that call their parents by their own names, or like, you know, kids that are 10 and they talk to their parents as if, or like they tell them what their psychologist told them about them. Like,
oh my gosh.
You're my mom, but like you're just doing this because you want attention or stuff like that. And I'm like, this is unacceptable.
Yeah, you have to be respectful, even if there's deep-seated anger.
Yeah, you just suck it up.
Or, the flip side of that is like Jamae on Summer Heights High, who's just screaming at her parents, like slamming doors and saying, I wish you'd never had me and I'm going to disown you as parents.
Like when I was 20 and one of my uncles said that all gay people should die because it's abomination and I stormed out, I was criticized because everyone should have their opinion and that's okay.
Oh my God.
And like, that's your uncle. Like you can't just storm out after they say something. And I was like, excuse me, I'm fat and gay. Like, I have feelings too.
I love that you say fat and gay. Like, why is that so important?
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I have a question for you guys. If you could all ensure in some way that your parents were in therapy, would you do it? And would you pay for their therapy?
Oh my God,
that's
a lot
a very
of questions.
tangential question.
I will not pay for it.
I will
I'm
never force
sorry.
anyone to go through a therapeutic process unless they're ready, because it can really open up a can of worms. So I think it's important that I'm reading a lot of Irvin Yalom at the moment, so I'm really deep into the kind of reading of therapeutic stuff. But yeah.
You just actually...
My mom doesn't believe in therapy. She's a Capricorn. She thinks that you can solve your own problems, and therapists are just there to like take your money and ask you questions that you can ask yourself. Also, you spoke about like your guilt and your like how your mom doesn't want you to go away. So my mom is completely fine with me going away if there's like a merit or a benefit to that. It's like I moved to Australia for 3 years. She's like, yeah, it's good for your career. I support that. But as a Capricorn, when I did a piercing, like to her as a Capricorn, it's very traditional. And like a piercing is just like, why would you deform your body? Why would you put something negative, like put a hole in your body? And I was in Australia, I posted a picture on Instagram just like of my earring, and she just texted me, I'm really disappointed. Not referencing why. She just said, I'm really disappointed. Like, yeah, it's like your piercing is like, it's a bad sign of your personality that you did.
And this is a woman that has a thing in her house that has the rules of the house written on them. So
yeah.
She means business.
She means business. It's like, it's positive rules. It's like, always help each other, give each other hugs and kisses, all the things we never do in my house. Like talk about your feelings, be physical with each other. And the last one is like, know that you are loved. And she took a picture and sent it to the family WhatsApp group, and no one responded.
Perfect. Now, I think we've made it really clear to everyone out there that we are very impacted by intergenerational trauma. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But just to bring it back into the present moment where, sometimes I inhabit, how have you dealt with I guess, the manifestation of your culture and your upbringing and all those things that can sometimes be a bit of a heavy burden to bear? What things do you do in your day-to-day life that challenge that or that help you remember that you are your own person and you're not just that story of the past and your family?
Skip town.
You've
lived in Melbourne a long time. But
Caulfield,
yeah, leave Caulfield to St Kilda East.
I do yoga. I'm like the hippie of the family. I'm the vegan, the lefty.
Yeah.
And I think I really,
I heard a quote, that movie that you should all see called Crazy Rich Asians. And one of the cousins is gay, and he says that he's the rainbow sheep of the family.
Oh, the rainbow sheep.
And I absolutely loved it. But wait, sorry, will you repeat your question? How do we...
how do you transcend that history? What are the things that you do in your day-to-day life? So, Loz, for instance, you've got your bag business, you sing, you do a million things. You're not, walking down the path that your mother would wish that you don't walk anywhere by yourself alone in the dark ever. But, you've gone beyond those expectations of yourself. So what are the things that you do in your day-to-day life that help with that? Help you challenge that?
I think I look at someone like my mum, who I love dearly, and think, I never, ever want that to be me when I'm older. Okay. So I think, what's the best escape route? So, and I do know, in all honesty, it is, we've grown up in a very privileged lifestyle. And I think I do a lot of self-care things like yoga, like having a therapist, like having a community of a network of friends that I can talk to and grow and develop with. And like really understanding that perhaps the reason that I struggle with anxiety at time to time is really because there is a lot of transgenerational stuff and because of our current lives. With the world that we live in is pretty bloody stressful. There's a lot of pressure.
Don't get me started on the world that we live in.
Tinder, for example.
And also, I think as we are being an astrology podcast, after all, I think it is maybe good to deal with it through astrology and through the tools that the universe gave you to dealing with those feelings, you know, whether you choose to talk about it, as I said earlier, or to be active about it and creative, or the life path that you choose to go through. So that is also an option for you out there if you're sitting there now feeling a little bit sad or helpless or hopeless.
Just put a butter knife and some salt under your bed, just like your Thai's grandmother would have wished for you as well. That's another practical way to deal with it.
And go to the synagogue.
Or just eat cake.
Yeah, or eat cake.
Do anything you need.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Astrology Roast. We hope that you still have a will to live after this episode. And we really hope that you will see us again in our next episode.